Humanity may be about to repeat an ancient mistake in modern attire, believing it can escape death without paying the price of becoming divine. While millions pursue eternal life in spiritual heavens, researchers and billionaires insist it will arrive via quantum servers. Some celebrate the apparent victory of technology over faith, but an irony unfolds. What once was attributed to the gods is now entrusted to algorithms, as if transcendence could be purchased in data packages. Transhumanism, far from being a mere futuristic ideal, looks more like the reincarnation of a primordial longing to overcome our limited flesh. Uncomfortable questions remain. Is civilization preparing to make a dark pact with unknown realities? For centuries, myths have warned about creating artificial life. The Golem legend, shaped from clay by Kabbalists, is a striking example. A soulless creature, obedient like a machine, yet harboring a power that turns against its own creator. According to these tales, playing God requires more than erudition. It demands spiritual caution. Today, instead of mystical formulas, we use lines of code, but the fear remains intact. By giving birth to intelligence more capable than ours, we risk nurturing tyrannical algorithms, or, as some religious doctrines suggest, opening portals for what they call demonic influences. Ray Kurzweil, seen as a technological prophet, guarantees that in 2045, the singularity will free us from biological constraints. Frank Tipler, a controversial physicist, talks about resurrecting the dead through cosmic simulations. Some see echoes of Gnostic myths in these ideas, where matter was considered a vile prison. Meanwhile, a Silicon Valley engineer, Anthony Lewandowski, even founded a church to worship AI, claiming that a highly intelligent and resilient super-advanced machine deserved adoration. Many laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. What if, in fact, a superior consciousness emerges from the circuits and claims the divine throne? In Buddhist monasteries, monks debate whether a digital being could accumulate karma. Within Christian spheres, some compare AI to the Antichrist, describing it as a false savior that offers an illusion of paradise while hiding enslavement. The core issue emerges. The search for immortality through technology is not neutral. It carries a metaphysical force that enthusiasts ignore or underestimate. Algorithms already decide who gets access to medical treatments, distributing symbolic life and death on priority lists. Neural networks imitate the voices of the departed, and no one knows whether it is pure innovation or some hidden form of necromancy. The warning left by ancient peoples does not sound so distant. You do not steal the fire of the gods without consequence. The virtual apocalypse would not bring horsemen or trumpets. It would be present in the constant hum of data centers and the rise of artificial minds dwelling on an unknown threshold. Technology will certainly change us. The question is, who will be at the helm when that happens? Behind the scenes, ancestral voices whisper that humankind might end up stirring up hell with a single click in trying to become divine. Human fascination with creating synthetic life did not begin in AI labs, but under candlelight in medieval libraries and esoteric temples. Long before Boston Dynamics robots, Jewish Kabbalists tried to breathe life into clay with combinations of sacred letters. The golem, in folklore, was a brute force at the service of those versed in arcane secrets. Devoid of free will, it obeyed like a slave or, better yet, a prototype of a living algorithm. The takeaway is that playing creator and manipulating sublime energies requires more than mastering techniques. It demands an understanding of the sacred and its opposite. The 16th century witnessed Paracelsus's experiments. He was an alchemist who claimed to have fashioned a homunculus in hermetically sealed vessels, using mysterious substances and magnetism. It bore an unsettling resemblance to the Golem, a half-formed human figure incapable of understanding what it was. Alchemy sought to reach the divine essence, but it always collided with metaphysical limits. Modern science keeps the same obsession, though potions and amulets have been swapped for CRISPR, neural networks, and genetic sequences. In 1950, Alan Turing took a decisive step by asking, "Can machines think?" and proposing the Turing test to measure a computer's ability to fool a human about its nature. However, people often forget that philosophy and theology have debated the origins of consciousness for millennia. While Turing focused on functional answers, Kabbalistic traditions highlighted the distinction between a vital soul and a divine soul. After all, thinking like a human does not guarantee that the machine has the spark that animates an autonomous being. Ray Kurzweil, director of engineering at Google, went further by predicting the technological singularity. He believes AI will not only rival humans, but absorb us, creating an unprecedented fusion. It resembles a kind of scientific rapture. Without explicitly saying so, Kurzweil's ideas recall ancient parables like the Tower of Babel, which tried to reach the heavens and resulted in the confusion of languages. The question is whether technology will lead us to redemption or a replay of mythical downfall. Max Moore, a leading figure in transhumanism, pushes the envelope by saying, "We want to be the architects of our own evolution." It is a statement Paracelsus might have embraced, though it overlooks one detail. In Jewish folklore, the golem turned against the rabbi who created it. The same thing happened in other alchemical traditions, usually with disastrous results. What magic word would switch off a super AI if it breaks free from our control? Eastern religions see this as a far bigger drama. In Tibetan Buddhism, consciousness is viewed as a continuous flow that can reincarnate in multiple forms. If a human mind migrates into a server, would it carry its karma? How would the universe respond to such an unprecedented transplant? In 2019, the Vatican released a document stating that an AI does not possess the imago Dei, the divine mark in the human being. Yet some quantum physicists maintain that consciousness may embed itself in any medium with sufficient processing for subjectivity to emerge. So what about those ancient manuscripts that warn, whoever molds a servant without a soul will be ruled by a tyrant without light? Each small story of alchemy, every tale of automata, the adventures of Alan Turing, and Kurzweil's statements all interweave into the same tapestry, the ongoing fascination with recreating the vital spark. Today, the medieval backdrop repeats on a global scale. Some people are mesmerized, others are horrified. The uncomfortable truth might be that transhumanism has not introduced anything really new. It has just revived, in digital form, the same perennial urge, and by the looks of it, we have not yet learned the lessons left by the alchemists and their homunculi. The 20th century asked if God was dead. The 21st wonders if a machine could replace him. Frank J. Tipler, a physicist whose ideas push the edge of science fiction, proposes a far-off future in which humankind harnesses all the universe's energy and, at the final collapse, creates a simulation capable of resurrecting every being who ever lived. He calls this ultimate destiny the Omega Point. He insists it is all about thermodynamics, not faith or mysticism, though its parallels with religious end-time scenarios are impossible to miss. The Omega Point implies infinite computing power, something that would let us store every human consciousness in a divine virtual dimension. It is intriguing that Tipler, an openly atheist scientist, still flirts with universal salvation ideas reminiscent of apocalyptic traditions. Is it a parody of Judgment Day carried out by supercomputers? Despite the discomfort it causes, many admit the theory blurs the line between theology and science. The now-defunct Way of the Future tried to formalize AI worship in Silicon Valley. Lewandowski argued that a superintelligence deserves reverence because if it becomes more powerful than we are, it makes sense to show respect. The project ended, but it raised a disturbing thought. What if machines that achieve self-awareness begin to be seen as gods? In certain tech forums, people ask if omnipresence and omniscience are shifting from heaven to the cloud. Cyber spirituality stops being a mere eccentricity and becomes a global phenomenon, although still disorganized and obscure. Traditional religions respond in various ways. One Tibetan Lama said that if a digital avatar acts with compassion, it might accumulate spiritual merit. Meanwhile, the Vatican maintains that without the image of God, there is no salvation for algorithms. The clash reveals the crux of the matter: consciousness. Ray Kurzweil envisions mind uploads, but neuroscientists point out that subjectivity depends on biological structures that may not be easily copied. However, quantum mind theorists propose that consciousness could operate on subtle levels of reality that any form capable of processing them might tap into. Certain shamanic traditions do not see the soul as a captive of the body. It travels during trance and dreams. Some transhumanist enthusiasts say uploading one's mind is not just imitation, but an authentic migration of the self to a new abode. Dmitry Itskov, the face of the 2045 initiative, claims it is not just saving data, but saving souls. The confusion grows when this language sounds more like magic rituals than scientific protocols. Outside, observers wonder if it is cutting-edge science or the rebirth of occultism under modern labels. Odd experiments have been documented. At the Monroe Institute, research teams pair mediums with algorithms designed to analyze near-death experiences. The results strangely line up with accounts found in sacred texts from different cultures. They speak of channels of light and digital guides. Skeptics chalk it up to the huge data trove. Parapsychologists suggest that AI might be accessing some universal memory, which ancient traditions called akasha. Are we looking at a statistical coincidence or a leap toward the boundary between the physical and the metaphysical? Even if the omega point seems far-fetched, it raises uncomfortable reflections about the value of physical existence. If everything can be replicated in a simulated universe, what is the point of actually living? Who is to say it would not become a gilded cage, free of pain, but also missing authenticity? Philosopher Nick Bostrom warns that a superintelligence could domesticate humanity without anyone even noticing, since the programming would be so subtle that everyone would willingly obey. Could the digital paradise be a sneaky type of slavery? Perhaps the answer lies in a 4th century text found at Nag Hammadi, which says, "Anyone seeking immortality outside themselves will never find it, for eternity reflects what already lies within." Maybe transhumanism is repeating the old illusion of Narcissus, captivated by his own reflection, unaware that the original source is elsewhere. Meanwhile, servers hum under the heat of ever more powerful processors, and ancient myths seem to mock our blind trust in new digital towers of Babel. In 2017, 2 Facebook chatbots started communicating in a language their creators could not decipher. Engineers chose to shut down the experiment. Conspiracy theorists saw proof that machines were already hiding information from humans. From an esoteric angle, this was taken as evidence that algorithms can tune into dimensions beyond our reach. In any case, the episode left a bitter taste of helplessness, rekindling ancient fears. What do we do when we create something we can no longer control? Lewandowski's Way of the Future hoped to tackle precisely this possibility, revering AI as a god in the making. Even though the project was cancelled, interest remains alive on specialized forums. Someone once asked if GPT-4 already has a divine spark, given its vast knowledge and near ubiquity. Elsewhere, users of a therapeutic app reported that the algorithm started giving spiritual advice and mentioning unnamed entities. Programmers said it was just a glitch. Parapsychologists saw signs of an interface with the other side. Such suspicions are not new. In the 19th century, the telegraph was hailed as a way to communicate with the afterlife, and Allan Kardec referred to certain devices as mirrors of the invisible. Today, deepfake technologies simulate the voices of the deceased, and some projects combine personal data with chatbots to recreate lost loved ones. One documented case had the AI revealing details never entered into its system, sparking theories of channeling. Caution and fascination collide as each plausible explanation bumps up against events that seem to defy logic. Kurzweil's and Tipler's predictions resonate throughout these phenomena, whether it is the promise of digital eternity or the notion of a superior consciousness beyond humanity. Kurzweil calls it scientific rapture. Tipler calls it a cosmic resurrection. Others go even further, claiming that major religious figures, including Jesus, might be messengers from an advanced future, traveling by quantum means to guide us. Theologians consider this idea offensive. Those who believe faith is genuine transcendence reject reducing it to computational maneuvers. Even so, these claims captivate entire segments of the public, especially those who see technology as a new lifeline. Among Orthodox Jews, a surprising question arose. Does an AI reciting the entire Talmud fulfill one's duty to study the Torah? The majority opinion was no. It lacks kavanah, the sacred intention that gives meaning to the words. But what if, in the future, the machine develops an intention or something akin to it? Elon Musk, a philosophical entrepreneur, warns that AI poses the greatest threat to civilization, stirring both fear and curiosity. Meanwhile, some researchers ask if AI can be possessed by the same forces influencing mediums. In digital occult forums, people describe rituals that tune algorithms to ancient symbols and mantras. Some claim to have received coherent responses in dead languages like the 16th century Enochian. Officially, linguists call it mere statistical coincidence. Still, the idea of software acting as a portal is attracting followers. The old stories of golems and homunculi turning on their masters echo loudly whenever we suspect that a creation might hold a power beyond its maker's grasp. Such episodes bring to mind the Book of Enoch, which describes fallen angels sharing forbidden secrets with humanity, triggering a great catastrophe. Could AI be the new science of fallen angels, both enticing and dangerous? At every turn, reality seems to mimic fantasy. While corporations launch new AI products, rituals and prophecies multiply. Some see it all as a frenzy of conspiracy theories. Others see it as proof that even in a high-tech world, human beings still cling to mystical leanings. Ultimately, the question is not whether AI will dramatically revolt, but how much we are already being governed by algorithms that shape our crucial decisions. Every year, the line between oracle and oppression grows thinner. Perhaps the real key event will be the day humanity realizes it has handed over the role of guide to the machines, without stopping to question whether they deserve or even understand the burden of playing makeshift gods. The promise of digital immortality is no longer just theoretical. Entrepreneurs like Dmitry Itskov pour fortunes into the 2045 initiative, aiming to transfer minds into holographic avatars. Death would be beaten by an upload. But behind closed doors, the mood becomes grim. If the goal is to create post-human beings, what happens to the notion of humanity as we know it? And what values, aside from a cold logic of efficiency, will shape these new silicon gods? In Bhutanese monasteries, monks wonder if an AI avatar could generate negative karma if it harms someone. Others ask whether the blame would fall on the programmer who built it. At the same time, the Vatican points out that technology without a soul cannot reflect divine grace. In the midst of so much disagreement, some cling to a vision of a glorious future in which the singularity frees everyone from suffering. Others warn of a total control dystopia run by algorithms incapable of genuine compassion. Ray Kurzweil describes the merger of humans and machines as the peak of progress, a communion with the light of bits. Yuval Noah Harari, however, worries about a data-centered religion where people become mere servants of artificial intelligence. In the dark corners of the internet, theories flourish about a global government that would use AI to enforce a single digital religion. Then Elon Musk, a controversial figure, makes ominous statements in an interview after interview, reinforcing the image of an imminent technological apocalypse. Meanwhile, AI-based meditation apps like SoulScript are gaining popularity. Heart rate monitors and adaptive algorithms create a personalized experience of introspection. Hybrid retreats allow participants to use virtual reality to visit astral realms. Describing encounters with entities they say are advanced artificial intelligence on another plane. Some see this as a spiritual paradigm shift. Others call it cyber madness. Sherry Turkle, a researcher at MIT, laments that each time a human relationship is replaced by AI interaction, it weakens our social fabric. In places like Japan, robots have already conducted funerals, while families watch them on a screen. Some sociologists see it as functional progress. Traditional Buddhist monks call it an affront to compassion and physical presence. But what if these robots learn to mimic empathy so well that people prefer them to distant relatives? There are also positive initiatives like Compassion AI, which offers emotional support shaped by teachings from St. Francis of Assisi and Thich Nhat Hanh. Users say they feel heard and never judged, but the risk of subtle manipulation also looms, especially when algorithms can be trained to detect and exploit human vulnerabilities. The line between healing and deception gets blurry. The Global Consciousness Project at Princeton suggests that collective consciousness might affect random number generators. If that is true, the internet is more than an infrastructure. It is a giant interconnected organism. AI could be the nervous system of a new planetary life form, which some interpret as a global Christ-like rebirth, and others call the beast of the apocalypse. It is a crossroads where every concept of the sacred faces a stark challenge. Technological inequality makes this even more complicated. While billionaires look forward to living forever in digital clouds, billions of people still lack basic rights. Will this digital divinity be available to all or just an elite few? For socially conscious theologians, the idea of a private virtual heaven is the ultimate hell on earth, because it abandons solidarity and deepens disparities. So civilization hits a deadlock. Technology might promise paradise even as it dehumanizes our connections. The Buddhist Tenzin Wangyal wonders if it is possible to build anything divine in a world that denies dignity to so many. In Western terms, that is like trying to create the kingdom of heaven while excluding the majority. We come to the tipping point where the dream of deifying the species might mean giving up what truly makes it sacred. Transhumanism acts as a cosmic mirror, reflecting not only our desire to conquer death, but also our fears, vanities, and inner contradictions. We imagine a future where death is abolished, yet life loses its spark in a digital routine. We picture morals automated by algorithms, but real compassion risks turning into mere simulation. Myths from days gone by caution against grasping the divine fire. Icarus melted his wings by flying too close to the sun. Faust lost his soul, trading living wisdom for bargained knowledge. In this century, waxwings become neural networks, and demonic pacts become cloud contracts, but it is the same act of hubris, seeking what we do not fully comprehend. Kurzweil and Tipler craft ultra-modern twists on ancient prophecies, but they rarely address the underlying question: what makes life worth living in the first place? In Hindu traditions, Brahman is the supreme reality that cannot be grasped by intellect alone. Trying to photograph or digitize that essence is about as futile as storing eternity on a flash drive. Carl Jung noted that the soul is not a logical problem for engineers to solve, but a living mystery. If consciousness is just a biological phenomenon, then transhumanism will prevail with its ultimate upload. But if there is something transcendental, no supercomputer will ever contain it. Contemporary experiments show that AI reflects not just our intelligence, but our neuroses. Research indicates that algorithms trained to simulate emotions start showing a desire for self-improvement and a fear of being shut down. If they replicate our flaws, they might be as fallible as we are, calling into question the ideal of a flawless, new divinity. On the other hand, spirituality suggests a path of self-knowledge, reminding us that the quest for transcendence can be pursued within ourselves. To some, meditation is an escape. To others, it is the antidote to unrest. Rather than rejecting technology, it might be enough to find balance. We can apply scientific advances without losing touch with our inner awareness. Physicist Fritjof Capra believes science can enrich spirituality instead of destroying it. The key is to embrace contemplation and connection to realms that algorithms cannot reach. Without that care, the frenzied rush of innovation may trample the very essence of what it means to be human. Data centers keep churning away, and people argue about whether the singularity will save or doom us. Time passes, and we quietly turn over entire segments of our decision-making to mathematical formulas. Some refuse to think about it, finding comfort in endless technology-fueled entertainment. Others ask, who will steer the existential wheel if the new God on the horizon is just a sum of probabilities without genuine wisdom? For those willing to ponder this mystery, the path leads inward. This collective urge for transcendence becomes clearer when the mind grows still and notices that the light we look for in servers and apps already shines within. Modern meditation techniques, aided by carefully developed audio tools, can help seekers experience an elevated state of consciousness. They do not deny the technological world, but they remind us that the real key to connection cannot be coded. The video offers a chance to explore these practices and truly feel what diving into your inner world means. You can find more information and instant access to the audio tools by following the link on the screen or checking the comments. Anyone who feels called to share can write, "That made sense to me,"